What if I told you that we all experience trauma and you don't have to go through some traumatic event or near-death experience to get there? Let me get into that. Before I do, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Coach Carissa. I'm a mental and emotional health coach. So what happens with trauma and how can it impact everybody? Trauma is something that we learn very, very early on, and it happens to all of us. Trauma can be as simple as an event that brought a heightened sense of emotion or something that shocked you. And I'm sure you've been around kids where maybe they've seen something for the very first time, or something happened and it instantly scared them, shocked them, or made them feel a certain way. Maybe as a parent you can relate to this as well, where maybe you were laughing about something, you thought it was funny, but the child was crying and in that moment they might have perceived something different that made them take away certain belief systems. So the really funny thing about children is they're very coherent and cognizant. And if we're actually to recall ourselves as a child, you'll realize that our thought processes are they would feel just like they do as an adult. We just don't have all the levels of awareness or understanding yet to be able to relate to different things. So our perceptions are based on the level of what we know and what we have learned. And we all have traumas that we've been through, all of us. And what's happening now is we're taking those traumas from our past and we're putting them into our future. We're putting them into our relationships now, and we're reacting on them day in, day out, day in, day out. It's having a massive impact on people's lives because they're behaving the same way in relationships. They're self-sabotaging in areas of like health and fitness or money or jobs. They have passions that they want to go after and they just don't feel confident enough to go after it with full confidence that they can, or they could, or they should. So this is happening a lot where our past trauma, and again, trauma can be something that might have been considered very simple or not like a trauma at all and have a massive impact on somebody's reactions later in life. So if you had a child, for example, where I was trying to think of an example here. Maybe they were left alone. I saw this example a lot where a child will be left alone in their crib, and who knows what the parents were doing. Maybe they were making dinner, or they were answering the door, or they were just getting some much needed self-time. And the children are lying in their cribs crying and feeling all alone and feeling unloved and like nobody took care of them and feeling scared. So that instance, something as simple as being in a playpen, has now created a traumatic experience for this child who will later in life go about fearing loneliness, rejection, not feeling safe, not feeling like they're being seen or noticed or taken care of. So all this stuff, this happens over and over and over again. That's one instance of maybe one emotional state that might be coming up. And in the future, they might take that out as not trusting in relationships, not feeling secure, not feeling worthy of love, attention, good jobs, good money, anything like that. So trauma really occurs to all of us, and it's up to us to start to take a look at our patterns, take a look at the areas in our life where we're not getting the results we want, but where we keep reacting the same way, and realizing that that's based on a past trauma experience. And we all do it, every single one of us. I can't tell you, like, there's a ton that I've uncovered, that I've changed. There's a ton that I'm still working through, and there's a ton I'm sure that I'm not even aware of yet that will come up of just these different ways where maybe we've equated certain things to trauma in our childhood, and it's impacting us now on a massive level. The good news is, now that we know about neuroscience, you can change your mind, you can change your brain, and you can actually start to change the perceptions of your childhood self. So this is what I do in NLP Matrix Therapy. It's a really fascinating way of really getting to the deep core of the issue. So what we do is through sort of a guided meditation we are able to access the unconscious mind and see when these certain learnings took place, what the event was, how it was being perceived by your childhood self. And we can start to observe this at an adult logical level and reason with our child self so that we get the brain and that child self level to understand and comprehend the reality of the situation so that we can change that emotional state within. We can experience better mental and emotional health as a result. And we can actually start to change our perceptions once we've really dealt with that core issue or learning or takeaway that happened as a part of a traumatic event in childhood. Once we start to clear that up, everything else in our lives starts to change because we no longer are tied down by that trauma. It doesn't exist. Once you've dealt with it on the childhood level, you're able to remove it for good, and you're able to actually start seeing things clearly for the first time, have better relationships as a result, make better money, have more confidence, more self-esteem, abilities to go after what you want and actually feel worthy of doing so. So I do a ton of this. Right now I'm actually giving away one-on-one sessions with you where we uncover one root fear or belief system that's causing something to happen in your life that's maybe not the results that you want. Maybe you want to pursue a passion, but you don't feel good enough. You don't know where to start. There's likely a lot of trauma tied to that. We're going to take a look and see what's causing that and how to actually get out of it, and try one of these NLP therapies as well. It might be in relationships. Maybe you're attracting the same types of relationships, or it might be in communication problems at work with your spouses or coworkers, where we take a look at why that's happening, what was the core takeaway, what was the learning, and then once we clear that up, you get a little more access and insight into your authentic spirit and self, so you can get really clear on what's important to you and your life, and you become more aware as a result. If you're interested in trying out this session, click on the links below. I'm going to be including a ton of one-on-one sessions with me to try out these NLP sessions. It's not going to be free for long. Click on the links below, try out your first session, and see the power of changing your childhood beliefs. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Remember, mindset matters.